That is Sugar Sugar, one of the biggest hits of 1969, and it was co-written by our guest, Canadian pop rock singer and songwriter Andy Kim, one of the newest inductees in the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame. He's in our Toronto studio. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be with you, Ian.
Congratulations on the honor, but let's start with your role in Sugar Sugar. How did that come about?
Well, my producer, Jeff Barry, had called and said, everyone's looking for a single for the Archies. Now, I had written some songs, but I had never written for a comic book, and now a television animation. To be honest, Ian, I will tell you, I can't take a bow for inspiration, because it really took us about maybe 10, 15 minutes to write the song. And if I look back at it with the ultimate surprise, I also remember that on May 24th, 1969, my version of Baby I Love You went on the charts, was my first million seller. And that same day, May 24th, 1969, Sugar Sugar was released, but nobody wanted to play it. And they only started playing it, I believe, in the middle of July. It's one of those phenomenons. I'm honored to be a part of it. I'm honored that people still love the song. It's maybe become as known as Happy Birthday, but I'll always remember Betty and Veronica.
you know, like sometimes in pop music, you just got to ride the wave. And as you say, you never know what's going to be a hit. Huge, as I said in the introduction, #1 in both the UK and the US for the entire year, 1969. But as you point out, it was released by the Archies, the comic book characters. We're looking at the video now. What was it like co-writing and performing on a huge hit, but I guess kind of being anonymous?
I never thought anything about it, to be honest with you. I was so involved in Baby I Love You, and really was excited about Baby I Love You because there was an adage, Ian, at the time, that you're only as good as your last 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Basically, if you don't have a hit, I guess you're done.
Yeah.
And so I was so involved with that, and I was wonderfully surprised that Sugar Sugar became an anthem like it has. And as I said, you can't take a bow for inspiration. At least I don't.
Yeah. Listen, so you'd already had hits, as you point out, under your own name, and then your biggest hit under your own name, Rock Me Gently, also hit #1 on Billboard. I'm going to play a little excerpt of that right now.
And baby, baby, rock me gently, rock me slowly, take it easy, don't you know that I have never been loved like this before.
Look, for people who are younger than me, Andy, they will not appreciate how huge a song that was around the world. What impact did it have on your career?
Well, you know, it was a time in my career where I had become somewhat irrelevant. I mean, I still toured, but it was just, it was a funky time. I had moved from New York to Los Angeles, walked the beach of Malibu with a beautiful lady. 4 o'clock in the morning, I went back to where I was living and picked up the guitar and wrote the song.
Fantastic. Great inspiration. Sounds like a story that Gino Vanelli tells about black cars that I think was also inspired by seeing a beautiful woman in Los Angeles. And he also is an inductee in the Songwriters Hall of Fame this year. Let's take a break. And in the second hour of the show, I'm going to ask you about that latest honor, Andy. So stand by. And Andy Kim is back with us, the Canadian songwriter and musician responsible for, among other things, 2 #1 hits on Billboard, and now a member of the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame. You've had a lot of honors, Andy. What does this one mean to you?
Well, I've always wanted to write songs, make records, and tour. I mean, that was the intention, and to eventually live a life that I had dreamed about as a kid growing up in Montreal, and to really see the world and to have a bigger life than I had ever imagined. So I don't know how to explain it. All I know is that I'm here. I didn't expect this honor, but I will accept it with all the love that people have for the songs.
And what do you think of the music industry now? You come from a time, and in the first hour you talked about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, where hit songs had to be really short. They probably had to fit a formula. You changed your name because I think the expectation was you needed to be Andy Kim as opposed to, what's your original name, Andy?
Andrawas Joaquim.
Yeah, I feel like that wouldn't have gone viral in 1968 or 69, but it could now, right? Like everything is so different now. What do you think when you look at the music industry of 2025?
Well, you know what? First of all, Baron Longfellow is the birth of my manager, Gordon Mills, who managed 3 artists at the same time. One of them was Tom Woodward. He changed his name to Tom Jones. Jerry Dorsey became Engelbert Humperdinck. Raymond Sullivan became Gilbert O'Sullivan, and he always thought at 6'2" that I looked like a Baron Longfellow. But it actually didn't work, because every time they played it on the radio, they said, and here's Baron Longfellow, and we all know him as Andy Kim.
Yeah, so, I remember that for sure. Yeah, exactly.
So you know what? There's a great saying called born round, do not die square. I was born happy, I live every day happy, and I live my one and only life with the joy of being around musicians and having the ability to speak to you on this great moment.
There are a lot of talented musicians out there who love the craft of songwriting and know that they'll never have the success that a few people like you have had. But for somebody who might be watching now, a young person who's fantastic as a musician, but wondering, how do they hone their craft? How do they get a song on the radio or on a streaming service? What advice do you have for them?
Well, it's a brand new world. Because when I started out, you had to be with a record company. They had all the tools to distribute your music. As you were talking to me earlier about having 45s, it doesn't, vinyl now exists, but at that time it was all vinyl. So all I can say is this: the most important thing that you could ever do is write or choose a song that you identify with. Because it's all about the song. It's not about the record. It's not about the touring. It's about the song. So, and I don't know how to answer if someone asked me, so how do I know I have a song? How do I know that this is the right song? That's your business. Your dream is your dream, and you have to believe in this dream. Don't listen to anyone telling you, well, they used to do this and someone else is doing that. Just find out what your dream is. Because if you don't, It's not going to happen. And wishing something will never happen. So hold on to that dream, believe in that dream, and you'll find your path slowly and steadily, and you'll find someone like Jeff Barry, who's iconic, that came into my life and helped me create the things that I wanted to create.
And sometimes you get to live the dream as you have, and now you're enshrined as a songwriter Hall of Fame member. Andy Kim, thank you so much for coming into our studio. A real pleasure talking to you.